They're like the big juicy gold ones. Yeah, yeah.
Actually, this is actually a little smaller too.
24 by. Okay. Oh, all right.
Okay, good evening. Before we start, I'd like to make sure that everyone is signed in for this meeting at the back of the room. If you've not, please do so because it must be on record. I'm Robert Tanner. The other board members are Scott Calhoun and John DePlacido. I'd like to introduce Matt Puz, Zoning and Development Officer, Julie Maggio, Assistant Zoning and Development Officer, Jeremy Toman, Board Solicitor, Tamara Doxey, Court Reporter. After the presentation by the appellant, the board will hear from those in question of the appeal, those in favor and those opposed. Any documents or evidence that's presented must be kept for a period of 60 days for our records. And after all the presentations are made, the board will recess. We'll then reconvene or make our decisions. The board has 45 days to render a decision. They're typically made this evening. If you do not care to wait for the decision, you may call the zoning office tomorrow morning after 8:30. I'd now ask that everyone please stand to be sworn in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please answer, I do.
I do.
Okay, we just have one appeal tonight, 24-04, Orphan Angels Cat Sanctuary and Adoption Center for property located at 5439 West Lake Road, seeking a variance to expand a non-conforming use in the MU1 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Whoever's going to present, anyone who's going to present, one at a time, please come up, state your name and address, and if you have anything to add or someone asks you a question, I really need anyone to come to the podium so we can properly record it. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Laura Mott. I'm an attorney with the Starrett Mott Bresky and Shimmick Law Firm, and I am also the Vice President of the Board of Orphan Angels. So I'm here to kind of start off our presentation. We are here to appeal a denial we received from the zoning officer for a request for a building permit to enlarge the space, renovate and enlarge the space that we're currently in out on Westlake Road. So we are a non-conforming use in the MU1 neighborhood mixed-use district. And the ordinance says that enlargement or expansion of the non-conforming use shall be limited to an area not to exceed 25% of the total gross floor area. And our request is beyond that, so that's why we were denied. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about us and talk about why we're requesting this, how we feel that we believe our appeal should be granted, and then we have some other people that want to talk a little bit too. So Orphan Angels is a 501c3 Pennsylvania nonprofit. We received our 501c3 status in 2009, and in 2010, we applied in 2009, we received it in 2010 and started our operations. In 2011, we actually moved to the current location out on Westlake Road. And then in January of 2014, we bought the building. So we were no longer tenants, we own the building. I have been on the board for most of the time that we've been in our building as owners. I've been on the board for 9 years. The building was never ideal for a shelter, and we knew that going in, but we made do. There wasn't a whole lot out there for us, and we've made do. But over the 9 years that I've been on the board, modernizing and expanding the building has always been on our agenda as a board. This is what we wanted to do. We wanted to modernize, we wanted to expand. But in the beginning, we were 100% volunteer run, no paid employees, running on a shoestring budget, and that's being kind. So modernizing and expanding was really it really was truly a dream. But over the last 9 years, we have updated our bylaws, changed our policies, we've really increased fundraising, and we have been able in the last couple of years to actually bring on 2 paid employees who also helped us shore up the organization and stabilize us. So a couple of years ago, our board president was looking at our numbers and thought maybe it's time to revisit this dream of expanding and modernizing. So she contacted an architect, and he'll be speaking to you next. And he really put our dream to paper. Now this was a couple years ago. We really had no idea what we were doing, but that was our starting point. At the same time, we reached out to local shelters and talked to the directors of local shelters about how they're doing it, because it's a struggle every day. And how are you doing it? How can we do it better? How can we expand? How can we modernize and make this better for everybody? We also talked to national shelters, large national shelters, and we got a lot of good information. And we also scrutinized our budget, line item by line item. Where can we get the money to afford to do this? And what we discovered was that most shelters, larger shelters, both locally and nationally, provide in-house veterinary services. Our largest line item in our budget has always been outside veterinary care. We were using all of the local vets. No one vet could handle all of us all the time. And we monthly, we're paying tens of thousands of dollars in vet bills. So these other shelters that we spoke to recommended looking into having an in-house vet who can service our cats. Because a lot of our cats, and we're cat only, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, we're cat only, but a lot of our cats come to us in rough shape. They're strays sometimes because they are sickly. People don't know how to take care of them. Vet care is very expensive. So our vet bills were very high. So we reconsidered our expansion and modernization and decided to explore adding in-house vet services. So that changed our plan a little bit. And our architect rolled with us and putting together some ideas of how we could save money by having those services, which would then allow us to pay for the expansion. So that's how we're in front of you now. We have this plan that we presented, and then we were denied because of the ordinance. But the good thing about the ordinance is that it does give us the ability to appeal, which is why we're here in front of you, to the Zoning Hearing Board. And the Zoning Hearing Board in the ordinance specifically states that the Zoning Hearing Board shall determine whether to grant or deny the request based on 3 factors. So the first factor is whether the expansion is necessary to the survival of the enterprise. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is. It's imperative that this expansion take place. Our building currently needs significant renovation to keep ourselves code compliant. That renovation is costly, and in order to afford that renovation, we really need to look at how we can bring more money in, and it always comes down to the vet services. So in addition to modernizing the building, we need to expand it to provide better services for our cats in the community and to provide in-house veterinary services. So it's necessary. We got to do this. The second point that we need to show is that whether there's compelling evidence of injury to the public interest. We do not believe there is. We believe that our modernization and expansion will actually allow us to significantly benefit the public interest by servicing more of the stray cat population in a safer environment. The stray cat population currently, it's a strain on the public. Strays typically are not spayed or neutered. They oftentimes carry infectious diseases that can be spread to the neighborhood kitties who like to roam outside. They're a nuisance to the community. They reproduce rapidly. They run into the roads. There's property damage, car damage, and they suffer needlessly. So our expansion will allow us to service more of the stray cat population. Additionally, Mill Creek Township has an animal enforcement officer, and by being able to handle more of the stray population, we are hoping the effect is that the animal enforcement officer then is not getting quite as many calls from the community regarding the stray colonies that are in our community. So we're helping to help the township, hoping to help the township by taking those strays out of the communities and lessening the calls that the animal enforcement office is having to take. And then the third point is whether the request is reasonable in the light of need, the scope of expansion, and whether there's any new impact on local conforming uses. So our building, which I'm hoping that you have seen on your travels around the township, needs some work. It's getting old. This modernization and expansion, which our architect is going to talk to you about, will significantly improve the facade and the structure itself. So it will be more beautiful, more attractive to the neighborhood, and additionally, increase the value of the property. And I did mention that we are a 501c3, but we still pay property taxes. We are not property tax exempt. So we realize that this expansion is going to increase our property taxes, and we're prepared for that. We're okay with that because we know it's going to be a much better facility for everybody involved. So we believe we meet the test for granting the building permit that we've requested and the appeal that we're here in front of you for. And I'm going to have Adam Trott, the architect, come up and actually talk about what it is we're really doing with the expansion.
Good evening. Thanks for hearing our case tonight. Adam Trott with Rothmars Partnership. We're at 3505 Chapin Street in Erie. I have a couple handouts for the board, so you have them with you as I talk. Okay, so what I just handed over, one is a zoning site plan that we typically do for site development, and the other is a rendering of the building. Now, in your packet that you got, you'll notice Robert Frost, architect, is the architect of record. The construction manager paired up with him through the whole value engineering phase, and now the baton is back with me to proceed through zoning and construction. I first got involved in the project a couple of years ago. They came into my studio. I've since joined Rothmars, but I used to have my own studio. They came in and described what they wanted, and I'm like, I am all in on this. This is a great community asset. So, what you've got in front of you, I wanted to clarify some things. One is the exhibit you got in the application showed the building, and that's about 845 square feet. That's the actual non-conforming part of the addition. There's another part of the addition which is simply a canopy over the entrances. So that's not really non-conforming. It's just the veterinary in-house service that is the non-conforming. As noted on the zoning plan, 25% of the area is down around 480 square feet, plus or minus. We're at 845 with the addition. There was a lot of due diligence in the size of the addition. Really, basically, it's to allow one vet doctor and one vet tech to provide in-house services and to also offer limited services to the public that can't afford a normal market rate veterinarian to get their cat healthy, to safeguard the welfare of their neighborhood and their home. So the addition that's proposed really is down to what it absolutely has to be with no fluff to function. There's only one treatment room, one exam room, there's an accessible bathroom, a greeting area, and an office. So we know we can't get any smaller with the addition. And then the nice thing about what we're proposing is that really, other than the non-conforming use, we're well below all the other bulk yard requirements. The front yard setbacks were way beyond the 15 mandatory feet. The side yard 7, the rear yard 20, we're all way beyond those required setbacks. We're well under the allowable lot coverage. We're only like 27, 28%. We're allowed to go to 60. The parking, the evaluation was 6 parking spaces needed. Right now, we're showing 10, and we could go to 14 if we had to. The 10 spaces we show right now are 11-foot wide parking spaces. So they're very generous. We know that at peak time, if it's a Saturday and the vet is providing some public service and the public is coming and we have the 2 staffers in, we might be up to 8 or 9 cars at peak. So we're very, very comfortable with what we've got. Another positive is that we have the dumpster screen that we want to provide so that we can hide all that stuff. And the whole point of the project is to make the building function more efficiently, safely, and healthier. And so we're real excited to get going on this. We just need to get past this zoning variance issue. And after Mary Grace will be next, she runs the shelter. After that, or if you have any questions right now, I'm happy to answer anything dealing with design or zoning. Yeah, that's where we're at, and we feel very comfortable asking for this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mary Grace.
I have to sign in. Do we sign in here as well?
No, just state your name and address.
My name is Mary Grace Lacoste. The address of the shelter is 5439 Westlake Road, Erie, PA 16505. Yeah, it's Mary Grace Lacoste. I'm the executive director of Orphan Angels currently. So I just want to start off with mentioning that I've been a part of this organization for 8 years now. I'm currently now serving as the executive director, and it's been truly remarkable to witness the growth and the development of our organization over the years. Previously, we, as already stated, I know you guys don't like us to repeat things, but it's actually huge. Previously, we outsourced to local veterinarians, and as you know, that was our largest budget. I received a budget of $8,000 a month, and I often went over, and it was like the biggest issue that we had. And so we have since hired a veterinarian to service our cats internally so that we're not outsourcing, and it's truly amazing to see the difference of the flow of things, the difference of the income, the outcome, once we brought a doctor on staff. So that's a really huge, significant milestone that we passed. We have a very good relationship with her. She was actually served on the board prior, so she's been with the organization for 10 plus years as well. So she has Orphan Angels at heart. Our work has become more efficient since she came on staff, impactful, and it's safer for our cats. And it's a significant improvement that has allowed us to provide better care. We are now performing surgeries on site, and ultimately, we're saving more lives. Orphan Angels is a very powerful force with capabilities that are just simply not being utilized due to our current environment. With this variance, we will be able to expand our efforts in a more direct way, as we are right now. We just simply cannot perform as intensely as we want. Our current limitations prevent us from operating at the level that we crave to improve this community. By offering the spay and neutering services, we can fulfill our mission of saving lives and effectively managing the cat population. And it's in our mission that we firmly believe that spaying and neutering is the only humane method of controlling animal overpopulation. A lot of shelters do their very best, but we are a true no-kill. The only time that we euthanize is when quality of life is up for question. It's not a space issue or a time issue. We're also a sanctuary. We've had cats adopted after spending time with us for 10 years. Just very recently, like 3 of them in the last 3 months. So our beliefs are really, and our mission is to bring down the cat overpopulation. And the spaying and neutering goes along with our mission by being able to provide that to more people. We can fulfill our mission by saving more lives, and I apologize. I lost my space. Erie is currently actually experiencing a cat overpopulation crisis. Whether or not you're a cat lover, chances are that you do encounter cats probably often in the road, side of the road, in the road dead. If you are a dog owner, sometimes they terrorize them. We often get calls from people that aren't even cat lovers asking for us to help them. And many compassionate people wish to assist with the cat overpopulation issue that we have, but due to the costs of local veterinarians with spaying and neutering, they just simply cannot do it. They can't afford it. And the mass cat overpopulation is just, it's not solely the responsibility of local shelters. It's just not. There's too many, and the local shelters are very limited. But it's truly a community-wide problem. And so by working together, we can address and alleviate the issue. One does not have to be a cat lover to recognize the significance of the problem and its impact that that has on our community. And most importantly, one does not need to be a cat lover to make a difference. So we're just simply asking to be able to have this extra space so that the cats that we house and have up for adoption are in a healthier environment, and also too so that we can be able to service the cats in the community that we're not taking on and do the spaying and neutering, so that we're not having the repeating over and over litters and litters every year and cut down on the cat overpopulation within this community. So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
I've got a few questions
Yes,
for
sir.
you.
Oh, boy.
So, one is, my understanding from previous, I think Ms. Mott said, The reason for the addition was to be able to put a vet on staff, but it sounds like you do have a vet on staff
Yes, sir.
now.
We do currently have a staff, veterinary on staff.
Okay, so,
We brought her on probably two years ago.
so what is the actual, what function does the addition provide? Like, what's happening in that space that's not happening now? My understanding
So
was for
the-
vet, but is it for additional cats, or is it?
So we're not doing anything different in a nutshell, honestly. We perform spaying and neutering currently. And we are doing intakes and taking cats in currently. So it really doesn't change our function. It just increases the quantity.
Okay.
And also too, can I just touch on one more thing? Sorry.
Yeah,
So I think all of us mentioned, our building is not designed for cats. It never was. If you walked in there, we had drop ceilings that the cats have since brought down. We have a garage door, so the insulation our heat is going out, the heat is coming in, our cold air is going out. So it was never designed for cats. And when we perform surgeries, we're in an environment that we do the best that we can, but this new environment is going to provide an updated HVAC, a separated HVAC. So the strays that we're bringing in are not going to expose airborne diseases to our current cats, and that's really important to us. Anytime that we bring something in, we do put the shelter cats at risk, and that will alleviate that as well.
okay. And then I noticed the addition, it says there was an existing shed, which is almost half the size of the addition. What was in the shed before and
The
what?
shed has been removed from the
So the
property.
shed is already, it says existing, okay, it's an
I
old plan.
apologize. So the addition was in the space of where that shed is.
Okay,
So in preparation of breaking ground and building,
Okay.
we did remove the shed. The shed was simply storage.
Okay.
We use cat food and we use litter, and those are very large, bulky items. And when we receive large sums of donations, we have to store them somewhere. So it was just a storage unit, and
okay,
with the addition, we won't need a storage unit.
okay. It goes to my next question of
Yes,
this,
sir.
unrelated to your testimony, but what I've evidenced is, I wanted to make sure there isn't a shed with stuff in it that all of a sudden then goes outside, because
No, it won't.
right now I notice a large quantity of items that sit outside.
Yes, there is. So-
Recycling bins or whatever, maybe
Yes.
cans or something like that, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so when I first started 3+ years ago, the recycling was actually right in the driveway. We actually moved that over since to hide it. So we collect cans to make money. Not
Sure.
make money, but we
Yeah.
we recycle it from Lincoln Metal. We moved it over to the side of the shed, and we tried to organize it and have people put the cans in the recycling containers. Sometimes people just drive by and it's like they literally just threw it out their window. So it's like in the yard or whatever. So we do try to contain that. Currently, right now, if you drove by, the cans are just lined up. The shed is not there. The shed did kind of hide it. We lined up the containers down it.
Okay,
If we continue to recycle, like Adam was talking about, where the dumpster is, like our dumpster is just right out there. We're trying to beautify it, honestly. We want to be proud of this, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not proud of where we are right now. I'm not proud of people walking in.
okay. So with that, 'cause I see a trash enclosure is there, which looks to be the size of a normal dumpster.
Yes.
Are there provisions within that for all these? I mean, there was a dozen or better
I
bins
think,
that I saw.
I'll be honest, I think we were gonna cut the recycling out. I'm getting a lot of nods. It required, volunteers to relocate them to the recycling center, which took a lot of manpower, and time and effort to load them up. So, we're finding that with the amount of effort and work it takes to do it, it might not be worth it to us.
Okay,
And also with, these new plans of being able to have these services to help us sustain, we won't need to be recycling cans anymore.
okay.
I think that's pretty significant and huge
Okay.
too.
Because that falls in when we talk about the character of the neighborhood and all of that. I mean, that
Yes.
is something that is important.
It is,
It's
and it's
something that-
important to us. We were just doing the best that we could.
I understand. It's just, with all the other work, it seems like a great time to do it if the trash enclosure needs to be grown to accommodate that
Right.
so that we're not.
And even more recently, we actually had an additional dumpster from Lincoln Metal. So for some businesses, they leave the dumpster there,
Mhm.
and then the community would fill the dumpster, and then they would just pick it up once a month or whenever it was full. So we did start doing that a couple months ago to alleviate the issues of cans. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the dumpster was right there and the cans were next to it. So I think we, as a whole, the whole board would probably agree. I don't think it's anything we specifically discussed,
Mhm.
but I think we're not gonna be doing that anymore.
Speaking of neighbors, have you talked to the surrounding neighbors?
I personally have, yes, and I know Alexandra also at least spoke to one. So we have a pretty good relationship with Stan's Garden, and I'll be honest with you, during the business hours, it was hard to get people that weren't outside of businesses. It was hard to make contact. So we did speak to the businesses. Stan's is right down the road. Right across the street is Tada Quilting. We have Teresa's right across the road as well. And so we did communicate with them. I do have some letters. I didn't bring them. I didn't know if it was necessary. All in support. They had not a bad thing to say. The cans didn't even come up, shockingly. But they love what we do for the community, and they've all been there for many years. And they were really excited that we were going to be able to do something like this for the community, and they were in support of it. The neighbor right behind us, to the right of where you would have seen the cans, I haven't spoken to them about this, but I have a decent relationship with them. Their dog runs away kind of often, and I bring it back. And so, I mean, we have relationships around us, and they're not negative.
Okay. Joe?
Yeah, one of the things is, with all the changes that you mentioned, that you have a veterinarian on site, and you're gonna be doing all these other things, is it necessary to expand? I know you want to, I know it.
It's absolutely
What?
100% necessary. It is, because if you came to our facility, you would be shocked of what we're doing. We're not doing anything wrong, but it's not up to our standards. We have very high medical standards for our cats, and I personally, we thrive on our medical cases. We save things that other doctors would not be interested in putting the time or effort or money into saving. And sometimes it's not even the money, it's just more of the effort and staying up and taking care of these cats. So right now, the standard is, and we're not snobby about it, it's not up to anybody's standards, if I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a very, very small space, and it does not provide the quarantining that we need, and also the HVAC as well, the airborne diseases. If you saw what we did in the space that we do it in, it's not even proper working environment. The cats get better care, the cats get the care, and we are monitoring and making sure that they are safe and healthy. But we're literally stepping over each other, bumping into each other, and it's just not, and also too, we would be able to increase of what we're doing. We do have to limit how many, the room is so big, we can only fit so many carriers in it. This space would provide, and we're not honestly asking, for a 24/7 emergency clinic. It's one exam room, one treatment room, and
Did you say you're gonna renovate the interior of the existing building also?
yes, sir.
So you're gonna,
Yeah, we're good on that end. Like I mentioned earlier, we have our drop ceilings that the cats have brought down. They've destroyed our heating systems. The building was just simply not designed for cats. It just wasn't. And cats are, a little crazy at times. And if there's height, they're gonna get up there. And so I don't want to say that the cats have destroyed the building over the years, but it's just not designed for cats. And we house, currently, we're a little bit low, but we house very easily over 100 cats. And it's a completely free roam. So we're not what you would imagine as like a kennel, and we're not even what you would imagine as the Humane Society. Our cats do not live in cages. They are amongst us. And so it's absolutely, it needs a remodel, and it's been needing a remodel.
Given the critical nature of what you're looking to do, if the variance were denied, what would Plan B be?
Our plan B is to move. We would have to. We would have to move. And it's for multiple reasons. We have to move because the environment, we've outgrown it, and it needs, and I know that's not what this discussion is, the remodel, but if we're gonna make changes and beautify it, we need to be able to sustain that. And our remodel isn't cheap either. So the whole idea is we're gonna remodel and we're gonna put a little addition on it so that we can expand what we can do. And so if we do not get the variance, we would not be able to stay at our current location. We have been actually working on this it became a dream well over 5 years ago. And so I think this is kind of it for us, to be honest with you, at this current location. This is our only option.
And the 840 some odd square feet is the minimum that you would need as an addition?
Minimum, absolutely, yes.
You couldn't live with less?
We couldn't, and to be honest with you, we've chopped at it, and, we didn't even know about the 25%, but we have been messing around with the plans for years, and a clinic flow is very important, and the quarantine is very important, and this is really the, if you take something out, it would just mess the whole entire flow up. Like Adam kind of mentioned, this is really the smallest it can possibly be to be functioning, efficiently, yes.
So I understand it, if the variance doesn't get approved, where you're at now financially is it the financial end that would drive you somewhere else, or just the fact of how it's set up now?
I would say it's both. The setup is just not, it's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable for the community to walk in either. So we do need the remodel as well. And we need to be able to house the 100 cats comfortably and efficiently and safely. Am
So
I
it's
saying
both.
the wrong thing, Adam?
Well, yeah, Adam Troff from Rothmars Partnership. Yeah, the issue of financing has not been the issue that's the stressor for their existing condition. It's that the way the place is built and the way they fit themselves into it is very inefficient. It's not anywhere near as hygienic as they like it to be. It's clean because they have great volunteers that clean in the off hours, but it's just not operating well. And through the years of going through the plans, it's been arrived at where, hey, you know what, this works. And this is what we really need to make both the in-house service and the shelter really work well now. And so the financing's not a problem, it's the physical environment that really needs to be improved.
And it's been like this since 2011, I think you said? 14?
When they moved in,
When you,
yeah,
how you're doing it now?
Yes.
Since 14?
With the only change of, we just brought on the veterinarian in-house.
Yeah, okay.
Less than 2 years ago. And I do want to mention as well, we're ready. We have the finances for this. We've gone through the whole bank process. We closed on our loan. So we're ready for this. So financially, I guess not that I misunderstood your question, but financially we can do this. We're prepared for this. It's just going to help sustain.
Okay. Thank you.
That's
Anybody else,
it.
John?
No.
Scott?
That should help with the pop.
Okay. Wait till you get over Matt, can you state, I know Matt Waldinger isn't here, is the township forwarded that they have any opposition?
From my understanding, there's no opposition. My comment as the zoning officer would be that the trash receptacle should be behind the setback. Where it sits now is more kind of like a safety issue. If somebody backing out would have a difficult time seeing down Clifford. That would be that's my only comment.
Okay, we're gonna open up for other comments. I know there's a lot of people here. I'm gonna let you go first, sir. And then, what I'll ask is everyone to come up and state whether, they're for or opposed. If there's a large contingent of people that are here just to show that you're for this project or against this project, at some point I might ask for a show of hands so I know that there are 22 people one way or another, rather than everyone getting up saying the same thing. If you have something new to provide, you're certainly welcome to provide it, but I don't want to get bogged down where everyone takes 10 minutes to say essentially the same thing. And some people may not prefer not to come up. They're just here to show where they stand on the matter. So if you can come up first, sir, and then we'll work our way across the room.
First of all, my name is Jamie Clayton. I reside at 5421 Westlake Road, which is the property east of Orphan Angels.
Sorry, can you repeat the address again? I didn't get it.
5421 Westlake Road.
5421, so the property east. Okay.
Yes. There's two homes there, which I own both of them. And that is my property.
Okay.
It's a large white home and another home right beside it. The one home is a rental, and I do have active tenants there now.
And that would be 1515 Clifford?
No, it's
No.
one address.
Okay.
It goes back decades, probably
Okay.
before you guys' time, before my time.
Could you come up here just so I can identify on here
Okay.
and make sure I understand?
Okay.
This is the one there that I'm saying, so,
Yeah, this home
yes,
is my rental. This is my private residence.
okay.
So both areas I own. I own this 5421 Westlake Road.
Okay, thank you.
Can I offer you a presentation too? You can follow along as I.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, I appreciate what they would like to accomplish. I really do. But I have some concerns. I have 5 major ones. And I would like to start off with saying, first of all, when they have special fundraisers, and they do at their place, Route 5 is a very, very busy traffic route. And one of my concerns is because of the parking on the sides of the roads and down the roads, someone is going to get hurt or even killed because people are constantly going across Route 5 to get to their fundraising events. So that's one main concern I do have. Another concern I have is when they open the back door and window, the smell actually permeates the home next to them, which is my rental, and my home. I can smell it on the back deck. And I assumed they were gonna take care of that somehow in their new additions or whatever, but it really does smell bad to the fact that it limits outings. If I'm out or my tenant is out having a cookout, we have to go inside. It smells that bad.
Okay.
That's my second concern. My third concern, if you'll take a look at the photos, you'll see the next page. It says, there are 3 photos referenced. The accumulation of recycled cans, of course, you can see those. And they've already admitted it's unsightly. And it is, it sort of looks like a garbage dump, as it were. People just dump things off. My concern, of course, it's unsightly, and it could attract rodents. Of course, rats like sweets. Cans have sweets in them. So that's the one concern of mine. The next picture that you see there, the building now, the roof, the water comes down onto my property and is routed onto my property and makes it a mud hole or mud mess. That's probably extra photos I dropped
Okay.
off, sir. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I got confused, I guess, a little bit. But the water runoff from the roof comes onto my property. And I was gonna reseed that, and I can't because it's just too wet and I can't even get back there to work. Now, I did make a phone call to them to try and get someone to do something. I've yet to receive a response. But as you can see, of course, it's puddling there and it's very wet and muddy. I feel that maybe an additional building might create a worse condition, maybe more water unless it's channeled away, but that's my concern. They'd admitted, and based on their website, they have 100+ cats in that one building. And by their admission, that is way too many animals. They need to expand or find some means to provide for these animals. With their extensive adoption policy, I don't know if their present location would ever facilitate as many cats as they are going to have, because they've only continued to accumulate cats, and a number of them to where now it's 100+. I can't answer that, but my concern is they may be spending time and money and still wind up not having enough room. I can't predict the future, but I just know what it stands like now. So to be very brief and not to belabor it, a summary of it is I feel that their special events creates a concern for Route 5 traffic to the point that it could cause health and safety issues. Number two, I think it limits my ability, at this present state, it limits my ability to rent my property or use my property for future use. It limits it. Fortunately, my tenants are very tolerant, but the smell is a problem. And they've talked to me about that, and they've talked to me about the water runoff. And once again, that's where I'm left. At one time, it was proposed, in fact, by one of the ladies, maybe they'll put in a little outside area for the kitties to go out some. And I told her, I said, frankly, to be honest with you, the smell right now, if you open that back door and that window, it's intense. So that didn't go through with that. I feel that if something is not done appropriately, it will negatively impact the value of my property, which I, of course, pay taxes on. And I'm concerned that it would limit the future use of my property, whether it be kept rentals or whether I develop it in some way. So that's basically my summary.
Okay.
But that's my concerns.
Sure. So I want to talk about those a little bit. So, and then I'm obviously going to talk to them and get their rebuttal on some of these. But it seems as though the four issues that are there how they're presently operating regardless of an addition.
Pardon?
The four issues that you brought up are present day issues. If they don't do anything, those are issues that are there that we'd like to see improved.
Correct.
So, you know, if we looked at a scenario where, so traffic, that's a more difficult conversation, but foul odor, I'm gonna ask them about that. I would have some assumption or hope that with a new HVAC system, there's some other method that would help your current situation with an expansion. I guess what I'm saying is the expansion may alleviate some of these, possibly, you know.
Yes.
Is something. Refuse cans we obviously talked about, and water runoff, I'm sure Mr. Trott can talk about that. It may in fact capture all that water that's the problem now and reroute it to where it actually has the issue better than it currently is.
Mhm.
So if we do nothing, if we were to vote no and do nothing, I don't know that I'm helping your property any,
Mhm.
whereas if we were the other way, we might find some common ground where it actually does help your property.
Mhm.
So, just wanted to make sure we're on the same page with that. So I want to take a minute and talk, with them and get the rebuttal on some of these, but first.
I guess before he leaves. I mean,
Yes, that's what I'm, yeah.
Did you see the rendering?
No, I haven't sent
I
it.
mean, that, to me, seems like that would help your cause,
Okay,
something like that. The HVAC and stuff that, he just talked about, the dumpster screen and things like that. So I guess what we're trying to get is, we understand your concerns. As he said, you're probably gonna have them if they don't change. But these might change them, so would that be something that you would be in favor of?
well, yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed necessarily to what they want to do. I'm not opposed to their cause. I've been good neighbors and had a pretty good rapport there. But this meeting afforded me the opportunity to express my concerns and what I'm having to deal with now.
Right.
And it's the fact of the matter is, by their own admission, they're not really satisfied either with the hygiene. They're not really satisfied with their ability to take care of the cats. And I can appreciate that, because 100 cats plus in a small building like that, that's not ideal. My fear is they're gonna go ahead and invest all this time and effort and money, just in 2 or 3 years realize it's still not big enough. Because if it's continuing to grow, and there is going to be a need for cat adoption forever. The little animals breed. That's just a fact of life. So I'm just concerned that if they still go through with this process, will it facilitate even the future for them? So that's something they have to consider, not me.
Okay.
But I appreciate your thoughts and the fact that it could improve my situation, and I hope that it would.
Okay.
And so that's about what I have.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I would like to hear,
Well, yeah. Go ahead. I'm done with him, is
Yeah.
all I was saying, yes.
oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm not sure if it's Mr. Trot, if you want to address these, or Ms. Mott, but,
Yeah,
skip past the traffic for a moment, because that's probably a little more out of your purview and
but
yours
I
operationally.
appreciate, is it Platkin? Clayton, Clayton. Okay, thank you. And Jamie, right? Jamie. Yeah. I appreciate that they come here and they share that, because we would normally not get into those details for a zoning variance, but since he's brought those up, I can tell you, Mary Grace can probably tell you, or Attorney Mott can probably tell you how many fundraisers they have a year, so I'm not privy to that one, but I can tell you that the building design, first off, the HVAC has been on the radar to be enhanced, improved, and made more efficient for years, and it's been waiting for this project to happen, because we definitely don't want to do any kind of systems upgrade and then have to disrupt it and redo it with the addition and the interior alterations. So that improvement has been waiting for this project, and like I said, I'm glad you're bringing it up, because we want to make sure that's remedied with the money being spent here. The second thing, the recycled cans, the whole point of this project is to not have anything laying around outside anymore. And like what was mentioned earlier about the dumpster screening, hey, if we expand it a little to take cans, fine. I mean, that's an easy one. But the point is, we don't want to spend a bunch of money, make the place look nice, and then compromise it by having something like clutter, you know? The boxes that were around the outside for years, gone with the renovation. The roof water, we have on your zoning site plan, you'll see a large planting area to the south of the building. That's taking everything the addition is doing. And then what Mr. Clayton's experiencing is there's a narrow alleyway kind of space between the building and his property line. And obviously, as is typical, the building is swaled to shed water away from it. So what we want to do with this project is we're channeling all the water off the flat roof and the water off the addition to the south. And that whole big planting area is kind of like its own little groundwater infiltration planting area. So all the water can go there, nothing leaves the site anymore. And again, that improvement was waiting for the addition. So there's that. And then finally, the 100 cats, with all the improvements being made, and the whole point of this project is to address being able to be a safe, properly functioning, hygienic facility for the animals. They're doing 100+ cats now. They'll do 100+ cats when the addition's done. The idea of the in-house service being moved to the addition on the south frees up some space within the facility. So now we can rearrange the walls, have sealed up plenums, and have a space that functions much more comfortably for the services and how it operates for the shelter. So there wasn't an intent to do this so we could do a ton more cats. However, it does make the place work more efficiently that if some kind of incident came up, say they closed down some homeowner and the homeowner has 30 cats, and Anna and the Humane Society are like, oh, you know, we're kind of at the limit here. In a temporary basis, these guys could actually take them in, but it wouldn't be a forever deal here. They could, it's kind of like a riparian buffer area around a creek when the creek swells. They could handle it. They could get them out of the community, filter them through all their health screenings, intakes, all that, make these animals healthier and get them adopted, and thereby relieving the community of, wow, what do we do now? We got this extra load of cats here for just this one incident, you know? So all those things have been germane to the design meetings through the years. What can we take care of? How do we take care of it? And now we're here today where we've kind of answered it all, like, okay, I think we've hit all the things in the radar. So yeah, thank you again for bringing those up, because those things have been significant in the design meetings as we say, okay, what are we doing for this? Yeah, well, so yeah.
What is the watershed off the current roof?
It sheds to the east and it goes down downspouts, and it's got some laterals, but not far enough. So when we do the addition, we're going to regrade that area and get laterals to take it out of that alley and get it to the south planting bed.
Well, by what you wrote underneath the stormwater management for the rainwater coming off the roof of the addition shall be in a small at-grade infiltration system. It basically looks like a rain garden for the addition area.
Yeah, it's meant for the flat building too. Yeah, that's why it's as large as it is. We wanted to make a nice area that will beautify the site and give us more than twice the room we need to make this happen. But there are 2 scuppers on that flat roof. Like I said, the flat roof sheds to the east, so it sheds towards Mr. Clayton's property, and that's where it comes down the downspouts and out, and we just want to keep going out to the south and never have this problem again.
Okay. Thank you.
And he'll be next door to see that it happens. Thank you.
Well, and the township's gonna have to approve all this anyway, right?
Just in case. Hey, guess what? We call it Little Lake Erie sometimes, just a humorous side.
The one point that, you weren't able to because you're not involved operationally is as far as the fundraisers. If you could speak to that, because
So we actually have, other than like adoption events, we have one fundraiser a year. Last year, we actually had a last minute fun, we just kind of extended it, but we have what we've always had it. It's called the rummage sale. People come and it's kind of like a large on steroids yard sale. It's a weekend-long process, but it does take 2 days to set up, 2 days to take down. It is once a year. Like I said, last year we actually had really good success with it. So we extended it for an additional weekend. But we would not actually continue that rummage sale either. We would potentially, again, everything, because we've been working on this, we would potentially still want to have the event, but it would not be, we would not be able to have it at our current location, just because the addition is basically where the rummage sale occurred, in that yard. And that's the only event that I'm aware of in the last 3.5 years, other
Okay.
than adoption events.
Okay.
The only issue I have is, as I was talking with Mr. Clayton, as far as what enhancements could help him. I mean, but the fact is, you know, you've been a bad neighbor,
Yes, we have.
and that can't be changed. But, you know, words and actions are two different things, so,
They are.
I mean, that's my biggest problem, is you are a bad
I
neighbor.
can't comment on the pictures. I've never seen them. Do you mind if I take a look? And can I comment on them?
Mhm.
So, this is, like I said, we had 2 stages to the recycling. We had the containers that were lined up, and then we had volunteers that would take them to Lincoln Center, and then we had a dumpster that they would put them in directly. And with both of those stages, we had a shed as well on the property. This is a recent picture of our current state. We removed the shed, and we were thinking that we were gonna be building soon. And so that recycling container has then been removed, and unfortunately, we used to accept newspapers probably 4 years ago. We still get them. We don't accept newspapers anymore. So unfortunately, it's not out there and known to the community that we're not accepting the cans any further, and nor are we set up to accept the cans. So that is a very current to date state, and it never looked great, I will be honest, but it didn't look like that every day either, until the shed was removed and the dumpster was removed. I don't even know if I want to call it dumpster, but it was a container.
Okay.
Going back to the Rainway, anything that's built is gonna have to go through the township for stormwater, for all that, for approval, right?
Correct. Any new impervious surface is required to be reviewed for stormwater management by our engineering department.
Right, so.
But to my point of what's written on here is that's only for any new impervious areas.
That is correct.
So the existing roof would not, shy of a stipulation being placed, as agreed to, that Mr. Trott brought up, nothing would have to be done with the existing roof structure.
That is, that falls just outside my knowledge.
Yeah,
I know the township engineering office would review any complaints regarding stormwater management, so if there is an issue, they could come out and look at it to see if, but generally, when the water falls on someone's property, it should stay on that property.
okay. Thank you. All right, anyone else? Give you guys a chance.
I was just gonna real quickly say, and they know it too.
Do you want to step up to the podium, please?
I was just gonna make a point that, and they know it too, even with the large metal dumpster that was there were people that were just still dropping them off, and they even admitted that. They won't even get out of the car to put them in a dumpster. They just throw them out of the window, out of the back, out of the trunk or whatever. And yes, these pictures don't look very nice, but it actually has looked worse, even with the shed there and the metal dumpster. I mean, there was at one time like a mountain, and I'm going, what in the world? You got more aluminum than Lincoln Metal. But anyway, it looked worse than that at given times.
Thank you. Okay, anyone on this side of the room would like to come up and say anything specifically? I'm assuming, or I don't want to make an assumption, but is it fair to say that many of you are here either in favor or opposed to this? Okay. Can I get a raise of hands for everyone who is in favor of this?
Somebody's coming to speak.
Okay, just one second. Okay. Is there anyone on this side of the room that is opposed to this? Okay, go ahead and come on up.
My name is Jericho Consul. I reside at 2413 Chestnut Street. I felt compelled to speak as a foster, a cat owner, and a volunteer. Access to veterinary services in Erie is very limited. We're lucky if we can get in for a well visit within maybe 6 months. As people, I know we struggle with this as well, trying to get into your doctors. For pets, I mean, they can't necessarily speak for themselves. It's our job to advocate for them. As previously mentioned, the shelter needs a drastic update. It's not great. I foster special needs cats. I foster feline leukemia cats. For those who are not familiar, basically what it is it's a viral, like, immunocompromised disease. It is spread through any bodily fluids. So an update to the HVAC system will drastically help to reduce the spread of that and just limit that from any community cats. So not only is it a service for the fosters in the shelter, it's also a service for the community. By being able to get access to veterinary care, it will reduce the spread of disease within the community and reduce that. I mean, this is a serious disease. The cats that I have on average live maybe 2 to 3 years before the disease takes over. So being able to reduce that in the community is huge. And most people can't, like they said, afford those veterinary costs. And some of these cats, I mean, this is where they live their whole lives. People are not necessarily prepared to take on that financial burden. So being able to update that space to make it more medically safe for them is huge, as well as provide a service to the community.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, we're gonna, oh, go ahead, come on up.
My name is Christine Blackman, 3028 Port Avenue. I originally was with Orphan Angels, no longer there, but I do my rescues on my own side. But I'm trying to be very supportive of what they're doing. And the reason I'm telling you why is this: I was the one who found the building. And I only had one day. It was either that or Orphan Angels was not going to exist. That's how hard it is to find a building anywhere. My friend is Ears, the rabbit rescue. He's up on 38th Street. What he went through there and added on and all that, it's been a nightmare. But what I want to tell you is that I have a cat that's going to Anna tomorrow because it took me 8 months. I cleaned out a colony because the Humane Society was going in there. It took me 1.5 years and thousands of dollars because I had to go to my own veterinarian because I couldn't get into Anna. I know Ruth really well, and it's taken me 8 months to get that last cat fixed tomorrow. And this is what these people are dealing with. We all are, because there's just not enough facilities. And you know what really cracks me up is the fact that Mill Creek, they're doing this for Mill Creek too. Mill Creek doesn't give, to my knowledge, I could be wrong, a cent to any charity to help them with the problems that they're encountering. And there's more to the story than what they're telling you, because they do such a great job, and another clinic is so needed in Mill Creek, and maybe we can get this awful problem down to where it should be. You know, we need another clinic. It shouldn't take me 8 months to get a cat fixed, unless I pay my own vet. That's a lot of money.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no one else, we're gonna take a recess. You're welcome to stay and wait till we come back, or if you'd like to check with the zoning office tomorrow morning after 8:30, you can do that as well.
I'm done.
I know what that is. I'll tell you if you guess right, because you never.
Okay, let the record show we reconvened at 7:47. On appeal number 24-4, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the project based on the plans that were presented, subject to the one stipulation that the dumpster be enclosed, or the dumpster enclosure be built back behind the setback.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.